Hello, Dad. This is Jay Warren. This is the Dadhood Journey podcast, and today's topic is this: attitudes during pregnancy. Let's do it.
Hi, my name's Mika, and you're listening to my dad, Jay Warren. This is the Dadhood Journey podcast. Thanks for listening.
Yep. All right, so another study that I want to share with you. This is a week of episodes I'm doing on the information I presented in San Antonio at the Hypnobirthing Conclave. What I presented on was Dad's involvement, Dad's role, Dad's impact in pregnancy and birth, and how it makes a huge difference on birth outcomes as well as for health and well-being outcomes of mama and baby, and then, of course, for you as a whole family on the other side in postpartum. And one of the segments on one of the studies I was talking all about attitude during pregnancy, and specifically there's a study called the Rottmann Study. Excuse me. So the Rottmann Study, the first part of it was they took hundreds of pregnant women. They controlled for all kinds of things as far as socioeconomic status, education level, marital status, location, access to prenatal care, all of those good things. They controlled for it, and then looked at a number of psychological factors and were studying what had the greatest impact on the health and well-being of the baby 3 months after they're born. So they were working with pregnant women, looking at psychological factors during their pregnancy, and then was looking on how that impacted the health and well-being of the baby 3 months after they're born. Okay, got it? So the first thing, the thing that was the most important determinant of a healthy baby on the other side was the mom's attitude towards the pregnancy. So what they did is, with this group of women, they separated them into 4 groups. They had a group of women that they took a bunch of testing and looked at their attitudes, and one group was called the happy group. This group of women, they were super excited to be pregnant. They've been trying for a while. They were excited to becoming moms. They were really actively engaged in their pregnancy and trying to have it be healthy. They were just excited and happy to be a parent, right? Then the other side of that spectrum was the unhappy group. This was a group of women that were not excited about being pregnant, but because of either cultural reasons, religious reasons, or family reasons, they were, quote, keeping the baby. They weren't wanting to become parents, but they were going to carry the baby full term and become a parent regardless. And as you would expect, they were called the unhappy moms. Now, in between, there were 2 other groups. There was an ambivalent group and a mixed group. These women that were put into the group of ambivalent, they were ones that were, they weren't super excited, but they did want to become parents, but they were just kind of, all right, they weren't outwardly excited about being a mom. They were kind of going through the motions. They were going to their appointments, but they weren't really doing much that showed any kind of joy or excitement. And the mixed group were women that on some days were super excited about being pregnant, and then the other days were super stressed about being pregnant and wondering if they can be a good mom, how's it going to work, do we have enough money, is this the right time, all those kind of things. Now, if you are a dad-to-be and you're with your partner, that mixed group sounds like every pregnant woman I know, right? There's many days when you're super excited and you can't wait to hold your little bundle of joy once they come into the world, and then plenty of days those mamas are feeling, oh my God, what did we get ourselves into? I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off. I don't know if I can birth this baby. I don't know if I can be a good mom. Although whatever those doubts and fears come out, that's normal. But these women in a mixed sense were very spiked one way or another. So those are the four group: the happy group, the unhappy group, and then the ambivalent and the mixed group. So they tracked all these women. They had their babies, and they looked at the results on the other side. Now, the happy group and the unhappy group, the results would be what they expected. The happy mamas, they had happy babies. They had babies that were healthy and strong. They were thriving. They were contented. They were sleeping well, all that good stuff. The unhappy moms, no surprise, had more medical interventions at birth, more NICU stays. They had more fussy babies, higher rates of postpartum depression, all of that kind of expected stuff that if that's the attitude you have getting pregnant and starting your pregnancy, then the postpartum is going to be the same. But it affected the kids, right? The kids were in the NICU more. They were having more gassiness, more fussiness, just not thriving and not really doing well, not really happy to be in the world. Now, the ambivalent and the mixed group had interesting results too. The ambivalent ones, remember, those were the moms that were kind of like, okay, I'm pregnant. These kids, they were described as lethargic. They were lethargic babies that, on the good side, would be like babies that, quote, slept well. They were sleeping, but they were really checked out. It was the moms weren't really bonded to the babies as much. And they were just kind of listless and checked out of the world. They weren't really in the world because their mom's attitude was kind of like, okay, and so the kid about coming into the world was kind of, okay. They weren't terribly unhealthy, but they were very lethargic, which worried the parents. And then the mixed group, those are the ones who are like super happy, super stressed. That flux of stress between the two affected the babies in that these babies tended to have a lot of digestive problems. And that should make sense if you understand that in a fight or flight response, when you're stressed and going and kind of roller coastering back and forth, that fight or flight response in mama's baby, where blood shunted away from the organs goes to the arms and legs so you can fight the saber-toothed tiger or run away, that stress hormone response is going through her bloodstream into the placenta, crossing the placenta, and then going through baby's bloodstream and affecting your baby's physiology as well. So the baby's having a stress reaction, and in the same way, blood shunted away from the organs and into the arms and legs. So their digestive tracts wasn't being as fully developed because they were in a stress state for most of the pregnancy. So that's how the mom's attitude can affect the health and well-being of the child outside of it. Now, so that was all about mom. But the second part about the Rottmann study that's relevant to you, Dad, specifically to you, obviously those findings are important or can be important for you as the partner of your wife going through the pregnancy, because if you see that their attitude towards the pregnancy isn't super happy, then you can step in and try and help that along, either with counseling or support or getting other resources to be able to have the pregnancy and her attitude towards it be more exciting. But the second finding, they said the number one predictor for the health and well-being of the baby was the mom's attitude towards pregnancy. The second most important predictor of positive health and well-being outcomes for the baby was the mom's relationship with the father. And so that's totally relevant to you. So those pregnancies that had mom and dad engaged, they were together, they were excited, that bode really well for the health and well-being of their kids. Pregnancy or women that during their pregnancy either had abuse, either physical or emotional abuse, or the dad wasn't around very much. They were either because of business or because of life, or maybe a deployment, something like that, like something that was beyond the control. It wasn't that dad necessarily didn't want to be around but couldn't be around in that case because of work or deployment. That affected the baby, and that they were more stressed because mom was more stressed because she didn't have that support around her during the pregnancy. And then even worse, in a psychological sense, God forbid if dad was gone for the rest of the pregnancy, either mean dad left the pregnant mom and abandoned her, or even worse, maybe even worse, like the dad died, he was killed in some way, those babies coming through that experience without dad present were very, very, sickly as kids. Their immune system wasn't very strong, but then also when they tracked these kids later on down the line, they had a lot more learning difficulties, emotional, behavioral problems, and depression problems. So it shows how important your role is in the pregnancy, dad. So if you're a dad-to-be, I'm going to talk about this on another episode, there is the third wheel syndrome of everything's about mama, everything's about baby, and what about me? I'm standing right here, I'm the dad, right? Like you are definitely like third on the list, and sometimes a very distant third, and it can be very lonely when you're talking about that. But your role as a supporter, a caregiver to her, nurturing her along, is really, really important for the health and well-being of your baby. So take it seriously. You might be feeling like you're not getting attention, that everything's on them, and we all feel that. So every dad's felt that, I'm sure. I know I did. And yes, you start feeling petty about like, well, what about me? And like, I'm right here. And that's true. That's valid. And it's worth voicing that so that you can have your needs met as well and be acknowledged. But knowing that that can happen, hopefully it can make it easier, but also know, okay, like my role is to provide and support for mama so that one, not only does your loved one feel cared and supported and nurtured and provided for, but then your baby is going to be that much healthier on the other side. All right. So take that really seriously. That's a Rottmann study that was done years ago and had profound results to just understand how important attitude is on the health and well-being of our kids during pregnancy, because they're marinating in that experience, and it makes a huge difference for you, dad, to be involved, to be caring, to be supportive in whatever way that your wife, your partner wants. Ask her how she can be supported and what you can do, because we don't want to get it wrong, but we want to help, and they want us to help, so it's really important to do so. So, until the next episode, I will ask you to take good care of yourself, especially if you're a dad-to-be. Know that it's up to you, because nobody else is going to be taking care of you. And take good care of your family, and especially in this way, look at attitude and take ownership of that and how important it is. All right? So until that next time, we'll connect on the next episode. But do that. Take care of yourself. Take care of your families. And we'll see you on the next one.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. You can hang out with other dads in our Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, search for the Dadhood Journey, and apply to get in. See you there, and see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Perfect.
There you go, Dan.